She didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. He was already shaking. But it wasn't just him anymore. His father was in the room too. And for the first time in 50 years, Camden Hastings had no move left to make. It happened in a federal courtroom on a gray morning in November. No press allowed inside yet, just lawyers, defendants, and one prosecutor who'd refused every threat, every bribe, every backdoor deal. Trevor Hastings sat at the defense table, pale and hollow-eyed. His father sat 3 rows behind him, stone-faced, jaw-tight, hands folded. But his knuckles were white, because Camden Hastings, billionaire, power broker, man who'd made presidents return his calls, had just realized something devastating. He couldn't fix this. And worse, he'd made it so much worse. This is a Golden Heart story. For everyone who's ever wondered if the system protects the rich, or if justice can actually win. Before we go further, tell me, do you believe billionaires ever really face consequences? Or do they always find a way out? Comment below. I want to know what you think. Now let's go back. Back to where the empire started to crack. Trevor Hastings was 38. Lean, polished, born into wealth so vast he'd never seen a bill. Son of Camden Hastings, founder of Hastings Global Capital, one of the most powerful private equity firms in the world. Trevor had never been told no. Never waited in line. Never faced a problem money couldn't erase. He lived in a Manhattan penthouse with walls of glass and art worth millions. He drove cars most people only saw in movies. And when things got complicated, when someone sued, when an employee complained, when a deal went bad, his father made a call. And it disappeared. Every single. Trevor didn't just believe he was untouchable. He'd been proven right his entire life. Camden Hastings was 64. Silver hair. Custom suits. A handshake that felt like a contract. He'd built his empire from the ground up, or so the story went. In reality, he'd built it on leverage, legal loopholes, and bought silence. He owned politicians, owned media outlets, owned judges not directly, but through favors, donations, relationships built over decades. Camden had spent his whole life making problems go away. For himself, for his colleagues, for his son. And he'd never failed. Until now. Gabrielle Monroe was 42. Daughter of Judge Harold Monroe, one of the most respected federal judges in the Southern District of New York. She was a federal prosecutor specializing in financial crimes. The kind of crimes rich men committed from corner offices, thinking no one was watching. She was quiet, methodical. She didn't do press conferences. She didn't grandstand. She built cases brick by brick until they were unbreakable. And she'd learned something early. Sitting at her father's dinner table, watching him review case files in silence. Justice doesn't care how much money you have. Gabrielle had spent 15 years proving that. And she wasn't about to stop now. It started with a woman named Lisette Moreau, 26, housekeeper, immigrant. She worked for a building management company owned by Hastings Global Capital. She was assigned to clean Trevor's penthouse twice a week. And one night, after she refused his advances, he had her fired. He didn't make the call himself. He just told building management he was uncomfortable. That was all it took. She lost her job, lost her visa sponsorship, had 30 days to leave the country. Trevor forgot about her the next day. But Lisette didn't leave quietly. She filed a complaint, reached out to a legal aid clinic, and that complaint landed on Gabrielle Monroe's desk. Gabrielle read it twice. Then she pulled Trevor Hastings' file, found 3 other complaints over 6 years. All dismissed, all settled, all buried, all involving young women. She leaned back, stared at his photo on her screen, that entitled careless face, and she said quietly, "Not this time." But as she dug deeper, she found something bigger. Hastings Global Capital had been buying up low-income housing across New York, then systematically forcing tenants out. Illegal rent hikes, fake violations, intimidation. Flip the buildings, sell them, profit. And Trevor wasn't just a passive investor. He signed the eviction notices. He approved the violations. He knew. Gabrielle spent 3 months building the case. Emails, financial records, testimonies from displaced families. And when she was ready, she filed federal charges: wire fraud, housing discrimination, conspiracy. The kind that come with prison time. Trevor's lawyer called him at 7 a.m. on a Wednesday. "We have a problem." Trevor was still in bed. "Handle it." "I can't. This is federal, U.S. Attorney's office. They've been building this for months." Trevor sat up, heart pounding. "Who's the prosecutor?" "Gabrielle Monroe." He didn't recognize the name. "Never heard of her." "Your father had." By noon, Camden Hastings was in his office, surrounded by lawyers. "How bad is it?" he asked. His lead counsel hesitated. "Bad. She has emails, financial records, witnesses. This isn't going away with a settlement." Camden's jaw tightened. "Everything goes away." "Not with her." Camden leaned forward. "Then we go around her." Camden's first move. He called the U.S. attorney, a man he'd donated $500,000 to during his last campaign. The conversation was short. "I need this case reassigned." "Camden, I can't interfere." "You owe me." Silence. "I'll see what I can do." 2 days later, Gabrielle was called into her supervisor's office. "There's been a request to reassign the Hastings case." Gabrielle's eyes narrowed. "From who?" "Above my pay grade." "And?" Her supervisor sighed. "I told them no. But you need to be careful. You're making powerful people nervous." Gabrielle stood. "Good." Camden's second move. He hired a crisis PR firm. Within a week, stories started appearing in business outlets. Overzealous prosecutor targets philanthropic family. Hastings Global Capital under political attack. They painted Trevor as a scapegoat. Painted Gabrielle as agenda-driven. It didn't work. Gabrielle didn't read the press. She just kept working. Camden's third move. He tried to buy witnesses. One of the displaced tenants, an elderly man named Mr. O'Keefer, received a visit from a lawyer. "Mr. Hastings would like to offer you $100,000. In exchange, you withdraw your testimony." Mr. O'Keefer stared at him. "No. It's a generous offer. Get out of my house." The lawyer left. Mr. O'Keefer called Gabrielle immediately. She documented everything and added witness tampering to her case notes. Camden's fourth move. He went directly to Gabrielle. He showed up at her office unannounced. Walked past security like he owned the building. Her assistant tried to stop him. "Ma'am, there's a..." Camden pushed the door open. Gabrielle looked up from her desk. Calm and surprised. "Mr. Hastings." He closed the door behind him. "Miss Monroe, I think we can resolve this privately." "No." He blinked. "Excuse me. You're attempting to interfere with a federal investigation. You need to leave." Camden didn't move. "My son made mistakes, but he doesn't deserve to have his life destroyed." Gabrielle stood. "Your son destroyed lives, families. He deserves exactly what's coming." Camden's voice hardened. "You have no idea who you're dealing with." Gabrielle met his eyes. "I know exactly who you are, and I'm not afraid of you." "You should be." "Is that a threat?" Silence. Camden turned and walked out. But Gabrielle saw it. the slight tremor in his hand as he gripped the door. He was scared. The trial lasted 3 weeks. Gabrielle was surgical. She brought in tenants who'd been displaced, families who'd lost their homes. She presented emails where Trevor joked about clearing out deadweight, financial records proving he profited directly. And Trevor sat there, in his expensive suit, looking smaller every day. Camden sat in the gallery, every single day, watching. But halfway through the trial something shifted. Gabrielle introduced a new witness, a former Hastings Global Capital executive named Richard Pembroke. He'd worked directly under Camden for 12 years, and he had receipts. "Mr. Pembroke," Gabrielle said, "did Camden Hastings have knowledge of the housing scheme?" "Yes." The courtroom went silent. "He approved it? He designed it?" Trevor's lawyer shot to his feet. "Objection. This is outside the scope." The judge raised a hand. "Overruled. Continue." Gabrielle turned back to Pembroke. "Can you explain?" "Camden created the model, bio-income properties, for tenants out through legal gray areas. Flip and sell. Trevor just executed it." Gabrielle nodded slowly. "So Trevor wasn't acting alone?" "No, he was following his father's playbook." Camden sat frozen. His lawyer leaned over, whispering frantically. But Camden wasn't listening, because he'd just realized she wasn't just going after Trevor. She was coming for him too. That night, Camden made a catastrophic mistake. He tried to destroy evidence. He ordered his IT team to wipe emails from company servers. But one of the IT staff, a young woman named Shanice Williams, had been following the trial. She'd seen the testimonies, heard the stories, and when Camden gave the order, she copied everything first. Then she called the FBI. The next morning, federal agents raided Hastings Global Capital, seized servers, files, hard drives. Camden was arrested at his estate in Connecticut, charged with obstruction of justice, witness tampering, and conspiracy to commit fraud. The press went wild. Trevor, still on trial, watched the news from his lawyer's office. His father, his untouchable, invincible father, was in handcuffs. Gabrielle didn't celebrate. She just added Camden Hastings to her case. Now she was prosecuting both of them, father and son, the empire and its heir. Trevor's lawyer came to him 2 days before closing arguments. "They're offering a deal." Trevor looked up hollow-eyed. "What kind of deal?" "Plead guilty, cooperate fully, testify against your father. They'll reduce your sentence to 2 years. Trevor's stomach turned. "Testify against my father? It's your only option." "He's my father." The lawyer leaned in. "And he threw you under the bus the moment it served him. He told the FBI you were running the operation, that he had no knowledge." Trevor stared. "He what?" "He's trying to save himself, and he's using you to do it." Trevor sat alone that night, in a hotel room. No penthouse, no view, just silence. And he realized his father had never protected him. He'd protected the empire, and Trevor was just collateral. If you've ever watched someone powerful finally realize they're alone, share this story. Someone needs to see it. Trevor took the deal. He pled guilty, and he testified. He sat on the stand and told the truth about his father, about the schemes, the bribes, the threats. Camden sat in the defendant's chair, stone-faced, but his hands were shaking. The jury found both of them guilty. Trevor Hastings for years in federal prison, $1.8 million in restitution. Camden Hastings 12 years in federal prison, $47 million in fines and restitution. Seizure of assets. The judge looked at Camden. "You built an empire on the suffering of vulnerable people. You taught your son that power means immunity. You were wrong." The gavel fell. Gabrielle walked out of the courthouse. No cameras, no statement, just her briefcase. She sat in her car for a moment, exhaled, and allowed herself to feel it. Justice. Real. Earned. Costly. But justice. Thank you for being here. For believing that power doesn't mean immunity. That wealth doesn't mean escape. That real justice still matters. If this story moved you, like and subscribe. What part of this story will stay with you? Tell me in the comments.